to see what was 11th Sonata in B flat. The 12th begins what I feel to be Beethoven's true experimentation now with the sonata form, which would lead through the greatest works in his career. To me, I would actually sacrifice the symphonies to hold on to all of the piano sonatas, if one had to do such a horrid thing.
Now, where exactly do these sonatas that we're coming up to now fit in relationship to his Eroica, which was considered to be revolutionary, more so than any of his other works at that time?
Oh, this is composed in 1801. When is the Eroica composed? 1803, 4,
somewhere in there.
5, yeah. So this is still not that revolutionary step which the Eroica would be from the second and third symphony. Probably there's never been such a gigantic structural movement in a work as the second symphony, which is a great work of art, of course. And then the third symphony, it's unbelievable.
The development of the sonatas, you're saying, is much slower, much less sudden than the development of the symphonies? Or are they parallel paths, or do we see
Well, he's composing more sonatas. We have one now, 1801, so it's composed around the time of the B-flat. It's also dedicated to another nobility. If you notice, every sonata, member of the nobility, every sonata has had, except Opus 2, number 1, 2, and 3, a dedication to a prince, a count, a baroness, or whatever. Remember how close he was to these people who were very friendly with him, and Haydn, of course, was the person who got the dedication to the Opus 2. After that, it seems to be members of the nobility who are giving him money and great attention. Now, this 12th sonata in A-flat, he moves from his Opus 22 to Opus 26, and the beginning is a theme with variations. It's marked Andante, and probably Beethoven's precedent is Mozart's sonata in A major, the one with the famous Turkish march, where he begins the sonata with a set of variations, and that was very unusual. Let's hear it. Now, you brought in the 2 Richter performances, right?
There are 2 Richters. I estimate the RCA, which we will hear first, was probably recorded, I would say, 1961. And then we have a 1960 recording on Columbia from the Carnegie Hall recital, and I brought them both, and one is because I'm sort of curious how Richter might differ in his public and private performances, private meaning recording sessions, and also I think it might give us some insight into Beethoven as well.
Which first, Matt?
Why don't we start with the studio recording?
Oh, good.
1961.
The theme with variations, which open the A-flat sonata, a 4-movement work. It will be followed by a scherzo, and then you were mentioning the Eroica, and I should have said that this does have something in common with the Eroica. Its 3rd movement is a funeral march, and then an allegro for the 4th movement.
I found it very interesting in that the first movement sounded like a Mozart aria. Did you get that impression at all?
Very singable, very arietta.
I can just imagine Glenn Gould singing it. Although I can't imagine.
Also, though, did you hear something that is very Schubertian in this set of variations? Especially the opening and in the treatment. Of course, Schubert was only, let's see, only 3 years old when this was composed. However, there is that kind of gentle lyricism. Chopin, one of the only sonatas that he would play would be this A-flat. It was very popular with the Romantics because of this set of variations. There's a very pompous funeral march, nothing like the withdrawn tragedy of the Eroica. My goodness, that's the greatest funeral march ever composed. This is a funeral march, this 3rd movement, which will... it's an outward display. It's the funeral itself. It's not the interior of Beethoven's feelings about the funeral march. Well, let's hear the performance, because that was very bad, Matt. Yes, in my opinion, again.
Okay.
That was stiff and academic. Yesterday we heard Richter soaring like a bird in the B-flat.
Mhm.
Today we have him playing like a student.
I didn't think so at all, but okay.
Well, let's hear if the live performance sets him off. Well, don't you agree with me that Richter did better, inspired by people?
No, I agree. I thought the studio recording was very beautiful, but now I realize what you were saying, that he just turns on to an audience.
Richter is a pianist who is so inconsistent that you must absolutely make sure of going to hear him, because it will be erratic or it will be so inspired that you would tear your hair out if you weren't there. All right, now we have another Russian, Maria Grinberg. Soviet artist Maria Grinberg, born in Odessa, 1910, I think. Now, this city, Odessa, must have some air around it that produces pianists and violinists by the dozens.
Mm-hmm.
Just phenomenal, and Maria Grinberg is one more of those.
Although, quite truthfully, at the very beginning I thought maybe it's not going to make it. In fact, I think I expressed some displeasure, and of course, in many ways, I suppose it's beneficial the audience doesn't hear what we say to each other while the record is playing. You know,
But seldom do we talk, actually, you know.
we talk very little, but I'll say, hey, this doesn't sound quite right, and then she completely won me over. By the end of the movement, she sings. I mean, this. Well, as I said before, it sounds like a vocal piece. It sounds like a Mozart aria, and she makes it sing on the piano.
And it's Schubert to me. It always reminds me of the set of variations, not thematically, of course, in Schubert's great four-movement A minor piano sonata. It's not an easy movement to begin a sonata with, because it's a set of variations. It's a long work, and being exactly what you said, so singing and so cantably, that also there's great humor in it, Matt. And it's difficult to find the exact tempo. You don't want this academic, and you don't want it too romantic. Let's try a performance now. Born in Australia, Hungerford is a very fine pianist. His specialty is Beethoven. He's also a very interesting man. I hear that he's an expert on Egypt and lectures on Egypt and a few esoteric aspects of that civilization. And he is still in the process, I think, Hungerford, of recording all 32 for the Vanguard label.
Mm-hmm.
We know from the Brahms programs that he just recorded some Brahms piano music, and that was full of delightful moments, especially the fourth variation. Who's next?
Well, I thought it's time for Schnabel. I think it's...
Schnabel is a perfect... I can't find the word. Just play him. The first movement of the Opus 26, the 12th Piano Sonata of Beethoven, and Schnabel played it as only Schnabel could play it. And he instantly found the tempo, the balance between warmth, and yet it was classical, yet it was romantic, but most importantly, you could not take your ear away from a phrase. This compelling thing that Schnabel had. We'll continue with the 3 more movements of this sonata on our next program, and I thank you for listening.